What's up, guys? It's Josh from Cardfight Empire here today, back again with one of the top 8 from our Newark, New Jersey Bushiroad events, and I'll let him introduce himself a little further.
Oh, hello, everyone. My name's Sean Cushing. I played Wiseman Loop at New Jersey, and I got sixth place.
Awesome, awesome. Do you just want to, first of all, congratulations getting
Oh,
sixth
thank you.
place in Newark, New Jersey. It's a big accomplishment. Um,
Mhm.
and did you want to go into a little more of the event, or like what you thought of the event? Anything you
Uh,
had to say about it? Was it run well?
yeah, well, this is the first time I've went to any of these regionals or anything because I'm still on the end of like a newer player. I started in Absolute Judgment, like for real. And then just the scope of the event, it was really run slow, but in general, I had a really good time with it because it's good to meet a lot of new people, met a lot of nice people there, and just in general, overall, a lot of fun.
Awesome, awesome. You said you ran Fender Wiseman, right? The Wiseman loop.
Oh yeah,
Why did you decide
the
to
most
play
fun
that
deck.
deck this weekend?
Um, I feel like if you can dodge three matchups, which would be Night Rose, Kagero, and Gears, the deck actually really doesn't have any bad matchups. It overall does it does work on almost every other clan, and and has so much versatility that it's to me it's like actually the most fun deck to play. So I love the play style, and I really like the results it can do too because it has so much versatility with it. So that's pretty much the main reasons why I played it.
Yeah, I think versatility is a really good reason to play a deck. Obviously, you want to have a good matchup against most of the clans you'll be going up against out there. Um, I think we were talking a little earlier about how you were saying post ban list. If we get the
Oh
Japanese ban list over here, you'll be pretty happy
yeah,
with that.
yeah,
Um,
because Gears G Guardian will be restricted to one. Night Rose is taking a hit, and all it's left is really Kagura. That would be my biggest inhibitor of doing so well.
right.
Like you're even better than it already does. And on top of that, it's also getting support, so you can't go wrong with getting another Fenrir.
Right, exactly. I totally agree. You were talking about how much you don't see Fenrir ever.
Yeah, it's always hiding.
Fair enough, fair enough. Do you want to go a little bit into your matchups or like talk about your day one and your day two, how that went for
Oh
you?
yeah. So that shop challenge that happened about a month or two before, I also played Wiseman for that, and I actually won that one of the shop challenges. So lucky for me. But so I had the 2 rounds by, and during the 2 rounds, just walked around, did trades, and just kind of like walked around and saw there was so much Luard. It really dominated. Like I think it was like about a fifth of the players, about 100 people played Luard there, and there was a lot of Pale Moon too, which was just really fun to see people playing that deck. You know what I mean? It's a fun deck, and not many got far, but just overall the spirit that comes out with people playing that and having a good time, it's great to see. But right after that, I went to round three facing Luard, which is a deck I actually wanted to face going to because there's not many Luard players in my area. I'm from Boston,
Okay.
but it's there's not many people who play Luard around me. So when I do get to face it, it's really good practice for me. I feel like it's a good matchup for Wiseman because they play that grind game, and I can one turn, I can just do that one turn nonsense to you, no TK, or just do combos that I'm going to explain later on. Um, I don't have too much to say about the first one. It was just a pure Diablo. It was just a pure like Luar Diablo mix. Um, he didn't really. He didn't. I guess he might not know what the Wiseman loop was particularly because I just kind of took him by storm with it. Um, and then round four was another Luard. Same song and dance. He knew it, but it didn't get him far enough to like adapt to it and actually be able to win the game. Um, and then round five, round four twice. Round five, I ran into Derek. No, not Derek. George. He came in third place at this event.
Okay.
He has a really cool deck. Hopefully he's on this show too and can show the list because he runs some really interesting techs in his deck. He drew like a crazy man turn two versus me. Um, I didn't really get to play a G assist into Struggle Stride, so it's tough, but whatever. It's he played well, and he's got a really cool deck. And then after that loss, I was only X1, and going into round 5, I had Aquaforce, a Thavas list. I can throw it out there that I think Thavas is actually one of Wiseman's best matchups. I really look forward to that match because I can attack more than you consistently and really not even have to waste too much counterblast on it or too much resources. As a matter of fact, I actually gain resources in that matchup for every turn that goes by. And then on the last round of the day, I actually faced a really cool deck. I got to go against Blue Wave. He made it to day 2 because we were both X1.
Okay.
I didn't get to see him day 2, but like he played a really cool Blue Wave. He didn't really get to do too much because the matchup, but like I really hope I can see that he like made like top 50 or something like that because he had a really good mentality towards the game too. But he didn't really get to do too much just because I end the game really quickly with the first stride. That was about it for day 1. I drove down there with 2 other guys. Adam, who's on the show already, he won the whole thing playing 7 Seas Rush, and then our other friend John, who just missed it by 1 game, playing his Prism Harmony like hybrid deck. It's really cool. Unfortunately, he didn't make it, and we knew one other guy who ended up being there. Name's Derek. He's a TO at a local that I go to.
Okay.
He just missed it by 1 game too. He was playing blasters. Just like a good amount of blasters.
Yeah. I feel like they need Gantz a lot to solidify their place in the meta, but definitely
I agree with that.
An okay deck for right now.
Yeah, I thought that there was going to be so much more blaster when I went there. I saw a good amount, but just not enough to really like overwhelm me because that Aichi Legendary deck came out like a week or 2 before.
Right.
And I thought the hype of that deck was just going to carry over to the regionals, but it was just Luard. It's just Luard dominated everywhere. So for me, that's good, but do what you want about it. I actually, for going into the matches, like going into the regionals, I practiced a lot of matchups. I think I actually used your deck list for one of my like practice sessions in Tabletop Sim. So I tried a lot of different weird builds into getting ready for this event. So until George, they couldn't really throw anything too crazy at me that I wasn't ready for. But George's list is insane. That as I said, just wait till you kind of see it. Right. It's kind of cool. And end of day 1, talked to some people, did some trades, went to an Applebee's, and not a nice part of town. Just it was a ugly area. But after that, we got back to the hotel. We all slept. John had the Bermuda player had the opportunity to sleep in because he didn't have to go in.
Right.
The next day, Adam and I woke up nice and early, got there right at 9. Didn't start till like 11:30 or 12 because of all the delays. And then there's a repair. Also, I was going to face a night where I was like, well, we made it pretty far with dodging this matchup.
Right.
And I looked at my hand and I was like, wow, I've actually got a great hand. I actually have Fenrir in my open hand. This is insane. And then the repair happened. I was like, all right, well, let's keep going. I actually, day 1, I G-assisted, I think 4 of my 5 games. Because Fenrir likes to hide, including 2 of them being grade 1. I was like, how do you? I don't even have a perfect guard. I just didn't find anything.
Yeah, that happened to me when I played Luard, which like makes me so frustrated because I'm like, how do I assist to grade 1 in a grade 1 focused deck? Like,
I know, right? I'm like, how many grade 1s do you run?
Like 15, something like that. So
I run 12 or 13, and I was still like, wow, this is insane. Post Mulligan just had like nothing but triggers.
Yeah.
But yeah, then got repaired into a guy who was playing Victor's.
Okay.
Seemed like a nice guy. We talked, like, we had plenty of time to talk because there's so much time between each round. And I asked, this deck? And he told me he knows the matchup really, really well. So I was like, good. So I don't explain as much because that takes a lot of time for me to explain each of these weird mechanics. Because if this is the first time you've seen deck, it looks like I'm cheating the way the whole everything moves around. but he was a nice guy. Unfortunately, Victor's, I feel like it's like the Awkward Force thing that I feel like it's on my better into matchups. We both thought we have a good matchup into it, but there's a really good Nova player, Nova Grappler player in our area named Jasper. He won the last Omni ARG, so I've got to play him a couple times. So learned the matchup a good amount, and luckily he just it was just rough for him
Right.
quite nicely. You don't get too far with it. Um, After that, I think let me double check. I faced the best deck of the day in round 8 or 9. I got to face a Pale Moon deck,
Okay.
and I think Adam talked about it.
Yeah,
It
he
was
talked about it a little, but he didn't know much about like what.
I got to face it.
Okay.
So we're both sitting there, and I'm like, all right, you want to flip your? We're like, I use Fenrir sleeves and a mat, so everyone knows what I play
Right.
when you sit down with me, and he has like plain color sleeves and I think he's like a generic mat. I'm like, okay. So I don't know what he's gonna play. I assumed, at this point, I'm like, we're both like 8-0 or 8-1, so I'm like, he's probably playing Gears or Nightros at this point.
Okay.
He flips it and it's Pale Moon. I go, how do you get this far with Pale Moon? I'm excited more than anything else. I
Yeah.
sat there with a stupid grin on my face for the whole match. Best deck I saw all day. It was he found the key to the puzzle that no one could ever find with Pale Moon, the right amount of utility and damage. He was doing a Amber Clone Cutie Paratrooper like loop on me,
Huh.
where the Amber Clone when it attacks it like pulls a card in and it calls a card out. It pulls in a Cutie Paratrooper, and then it pulls one out, and then that sucks in a card and then pulls out another Amber Clone on the other side.
Okay.
And he literally it's hard to explain, but he literally kept attacking me for 21 like 5-6 times each stride, and I was like, this is insane. Not to mention he also used is it Mulwark? They have a GR from a Fighters collection.
Yeah.
It's a little old.
Nord. Yeah, it's like the Soul Block
Yes.
one call 2 to get 4K.
Yep. I
And
love that
unhitted
card.
stuff.
And yep, he was using stuff like that in conjunction with everything else, and it was so much pressure. I saw how he could easily have made as far as he did with that deck. I talked to him after. I had to look at that deck list completely. It was really cool. I'm actually hoping in like about a month or so to actually build that deck and try it out because it was fun. And just overall, he knew what he was doing. It was like the difference of like a 5K guard of me winning and losing. It was that close.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I mean it turned into me looping him the next turn. But like when he was doing all that stuff, I was like, I have 3 grade 3s in my hand. I don't think I get through this. And it came down to like the last card, the last card in my hand to guard and intercept and everything else. And like so much props to him. And I really wish he made top 8 because that way people could have saw his name and symbol on the Bushiroad Twitter.
Right.
But
he would have been the first. I looked at a chart actually.
I know that
He
the
would've been
chart.
the
Yeah,
first
he would have been the
Cowboy.
first to do. It would have been so good because
Yeah.
if anyone deserved it, it was him. He had this. His deck list was immaculate. I loved it, and as I said, I hope to play it soon because it was just so out there.
Right.
And in a best of 1 format, I could see how that could trip up so many people. I forgot to mention day 2's best of 3s though.
Yeah.
Weird ruling. They had you roll for each game.
Yep. Basically, Bushiroad has like a thing that I was talking to Sean about as well. Basically,
Adam,
Bushiroad,
yeah.
or yeah, sorry, I keep
I'm Sean.
like mixing you guys up because you're so related to each other. But yeah, literally, I was talking to Adam about how Bushiroad has a rule that every player, like whether they go first or second, it's like always random. So you like it's
Yep.
literally in the rule book that like every match beginning has to be random, so you do have to roll or rock
Yeah,
paper scissors or anything like that.
It was hard.
Yeah.
I know my top 8 match. I went first all 3 games.
Yeah, it's
It was like
a lot of
ooh.
people will be used to ARGs and then we'll come to like a Bushiroad event. And
Yes,
Bushiroad-
that was my thing because I did it
Yeah.
like 2 ARGs or 3 ARGs before this,
Yeah, and
and then
ARG
for my
was the
first
kick.
one,
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't actually ready for that. But either way, it was you take what you can get. You know what I mean? You just accept it. After that, it was I actually ended with Luard. His name is Rick. He also made top 8.
Okay.
He's his deck was, I think it's like closer to just like a Diablo, and I don't even want to speak for. I didn't get to see. He only ran every game of the 3 games he put Luart down. So I don't remember what else he's running, but it seemed like a fairly standard list from what I know. Game 1 he bought me really hard because I put down. I had one rear guard, and I Dreaming Drag. I called out Dreaming Dragon, which is effect is at the end of the turn if you have 10, if you can put it on top of your deck, take your drop zone, shuffle it, shuffle all together, and draw a card if you had 10 or more cards in your drop zone.
Right.
And I called out Dreaming Dragon. I said, "All right, keep this to be safe from Diablo, and you're good." And then that whole chess player mentality took over, where I was starting to think so far ahead that that in the moment I said, I was like looking at the field, like I really want to draw a card, and I did the effect, shuffled, and while I'm doing, I was like, "Oh, I'm dumb." I just threw the game, and then I went from 3 to 6, and I was like, "All right, let's just go to game 2." You know what I mean? Yeah, so rightfully so. I played like a fool, and he did the right thing. He pulled out Diablo and smashed me really hard.
Right.
So I wasn't. And then games 2 and 3 were really close. Game 2 was like I just looped him, and then game 3 he survived the loop. I was more impressed than anything else. I was all shaking. I'm like, he actually got through the loop turn, and my hand is absolute trash. This is gonna be scary. He went into Diablo. I couldn't guard Diablo, and lucky for me, he only pulled a draw trigger. He didn't pull a crit. So I went from 3 to 5. Next turn, he didn't have much in his hand because he got through the loop with like upwards of 20 cards in his hand. He went like through 4 PGs, like 3 G Guardians, and everything else, and hit 2 defensive triggers, and got within range to get through the loop turn. Not a full loop,
Right.
but like a semi loop.
Right, like
What's up?
a loop that should be like enough to kill most people, basically.
Yeah, like except like extreme circumstances like that. But like it's what I had. It's like it was one of those situations where I didn't think if I played another turn I was going to get too far, so I alled into him, and yeah, he got through it. Good for him. And then next turn I just used the Fetter. What's the name? What do I call Diamond Boy?
Gelja?
Shackle Fetter. And I just put a couple Shackle Fetters in there and just killed them. But like, put up a really good fight, and I was happy he made it to top 8. And then when they came down to calling top 8, I got second out of groups, which is really cool. I was really happy about that because I came here as my first regionals is hoping for top 32. That was the goal going to it, and getting second out of groups was, it meant a lot. So I was really happy about that. And I drove up there with 2 guys and another one, Adam Weinstein. He came up on stage right after. I'm like, oh, sick, dude. We both made it top 8. 2 and 3 to be exact. So it's just a really cool time to, really cool time to be alive, man.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
I agree that you guys both did a really good job. You guys both have very
yeah.
solid mentalities on the game, which makes
Yeah.
me happy to see like my competition in other states is kind of like just up there. But I definitely learned a lot from talking to you guys in these interviews and stuff like that. Maybe things I've known before, or maybe some things I didn't know before. But I feel like I always learned from someone else's mentality. But yeah, definitely enjoyed your matchup review. Do you want to talk about your deck?
I'll just briefly say the top 8. I faced someone playing Alt Mile.
Okay.
Won game 1. Game 2, we ran into a really weird thing. Adam briefly touched on it, and I don't want to go too much detail on it, but
Sure.
I used the starter.
Later,
touched it. Yeah, I was forced to put in because I pretty much touched and cut off my own sentence because it's in the thing. If you can card shark, you should do it. It's part of it. It's an advantage, I guess. I won't do it, but
Right.
if it's there, why not? And then I pulled it out, and the judge gave me a ruling that it's a once per turn, so you can't use it again. But when you call it a card, it's completely reset.
Yeah.
So I should have been able to use it again to do a loop, but take what you can get. I'm still really happy to get 6th place. So
basically, it was a wrong ruling, you would say that
yeah,
held you back from that game.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. I mean I would have looped him, but like it's you take what you get because like I'm still. It's not like I'd ever be disappointed with sixth place when you go in with hoping for a top 32. So
Right.
um, yeah,
Which is a
and
really good mentality to have about it, in my opinion.
yeah, I mean like I could sit here and be a salt bag and just think about it and flame all day about, but you know um, he played well, and it's really cool to see. He was the only alt mile in top 8, so
Mm. We had
it's
only
like go
one
on
alt
him.
mile in our top 8 too.
Yeah, I
So
know. It's like it's just cool to see like some extra like decks that may not get as far. I know another region Salt Mile does well, but like I haven't really seen too much of it
yeah.
here. And I think he was like one of the few only alt miles I actually saw at the whole tournament.
Okay.
So overall, it's just good to see. I mean, I think there was only two Wiseman players. The other guy I don't think got to day two, but there's only one other Wiseman player I saw. Um, oh, so deck profile? Is
Yeah.
that where we were going with this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Half a second. Let me set up this mic so it's actually not
Sure.
so we can actually see it a little better. I use a Fenrir mat because when I run into my opponent, I want them to know what they're going into. Do you like to start with the G zone or the like going grade zero up?
Anything you like is your
Okay,
deck profile your way.
sure. Let's just start with the G zone. It's easier. We only run two. The upgrade Fenrir. His effect is pretty much revelation changes, and then has an act ability, which is what you use to set up the loop. Just try and get this in Barrett's position. You set up the loop. All it does is you counterblast. You counterblast one, soul blast three. You can either choose to draw a card or put a card in the soul. And it sets up the loop because you can continuously be taking cards out of your deck when there's only one card left, and then putting stuff at the bottom, which we can kind of explain later because of the stand trigger. One Seabreeze, because Counterblast is actually not a problem with this deck, so I feel free to always use Seabreeze if my opponent is staying on grade 2. We run 2 Doombrace because you always need a card to G-Assist, and you won't ever use any other times. I use for my G Guardians, I run 1 Dome because it's pretty much a screw you for free, because you should have a copy of the card in the soul. That's also on your rearguard circle because of how big your soul is. We use 3 Iris because Iris is actually probably the strongest G Guardian that like sets up with your deck, because you take 3 cards from your drop zone and put them right into your soul, so you can take all your combo cards and get them right into the soul for free, and also while guarding an attack, which is really really helpful. We got 3 Tier. Tier's the card you're going to go into first stride, I think, every time. I can't think of a opportunity or like a stride where you don't go into it first, because he can potentially soul charge 9, and also does a kind of revelation ability. You soul blast 3 cards, you check top card, put it on top or bottom of your deck, and then when you attack, you can anything that's not a grade 0, you can soul charge 3. The keywords on that is you may soul charge 3. So if you're going to deck out, you just stop it. And everyone's fan favorite, we run 4 Vandagander. Vandagander is actually just my panic card. If stuff is going wrong, we pull them out to try and search for a heal trigger. That's the basics of the G zone. And then the actual deck itself, I run a couple of funky cards, but it's nothing too extreme. We run Fetter. I can't just call everything Fetter. Fetter of Leather, because its effect is you shove in the soul, and next time you soul blast, you call a card out to the rear guard. He's Fenrir's effect, the grade 3 Fenrir for free pretty much. For the triggers, we're going to run 4 Dreaming Dragon, because Dreaming Dragon allows you to win pretty much all the stall games that you'll ever see. You just take your drop zone, you put it into your deck, and you draw a card. We're running 4 of the most troll heal trigger I could find, which is Ringing Rabbit. Just because if you're gonna get Miracle healed, then why not see this card? We run 4 crit, because if you can ever get a crit onto the Wiseman, you've pretty much shouldn't be able to lose the game. It adds way too much pressure on a card that's going to be restanding so much that crits actually pretty much end the game on that. So we only run 4, so we're not all inning on it. And then you have to have 4 of these, because this is the actual card that you need the loop for. When Soul Blasted, you put it at the bottom of your deck and you stand a rear guard up. If there are cards that say when this card attacks, you can, in Soul Blast, you can Soul Blast this and it'll stand back up and attack again. That's your trigger lineup. For grade 1s, we're going to run only 3 Witch of Orange. And their effect is when this card is Soul Blasted, you Soul Charge 2. It's just good for cycling through your deck as fast as you can, and also for the loop turn. It makes a huge difference. You're running 4 Shackle Fetter. I call him Diamond Boy. His effect is pretty basic. All he does is he activates from the soul, which is really helpful with a soul charging deck. You put him at the bottom of your deck. You can choose to stand one of your cards, give it 3k, and then if you have Fenrir as your Vanguard, you soul charge 2 and give 3k out. So you pretty much will just continuously put this card to the bottom of your deck and give 6k out to your Wiseman if you have Fenrir as your Vanguard, and then you soul charge 2. So you're going to aim to be soul charging more of these Diamond Boys, and you're going to be aiming to soul charge more of that stand trigger that's going to allow Wiseman to stand up again. Unflip PG. In all honesty, because there's no other real PGs at the moment that have effects, so there's not really any reason to run anything else besides the Unflipper. I don't run through Counterblast very much, so I guess it's just like an extra treat. When the new PG comes out, I'm going to be running that because it allows you to soul charge 2 and has Revelation on the Vanguard circle. We only run 3 Stride Fodder and 1 SP. Because for right now, my version of the deck is so tight that I had to cut out a Stride Fire to get through, to actually make this to work. Then we move to grade 2s. I think Kanto is actually one of the most underrated cards in the whole Genesis lineup, because its effect is Revelation, which is already really good. You check top card of your deck, you either leave it on top of your deck or you put in the soul. And if you put in the soul, then you can you get the city unit. But its other effect is if for every card that goes in the soul, it's 1,000 power, and then if it's a Revelation ability, it's 2,000 power. What's really good about this that it's not GB restricted. So pretty much, if you're turn 2 rushing, if you're doing anything like that, it will gain exponential power. And just overall, it's a hard hitter. It's consistent power with tier. This thing might be attacking you for like 21,000 for free every time you stride. So just keep it on the rear guard circle, and it's a really nice attack. I run 2 of the Amber Clone. Amber Clone's effect is if this card is boosted, counterblast 1, and then you can soul charge 3 and draw a card. You don't use this too much, but I keep it in there. It's a 9k base, and overall, just an extra card draw isn't bad if you have nothing else you want in your soul at the moment. I only run 2 better folder or older fetter. When the new Fenrir comes out, I'm going to bump him up to 4. The only reason why I don't run him is because he requires Fenrir as the hard card, and his effect is Revelation, which is great, and then you have to soul countercharge 1 or counterblast 1, and then he gains 4,000 power, and when he attacks once per turn, soul blast 3 cards, draw a card. He sets up really nice combos because there's only 2 cards in this deck that can actually soul blast during the battle phase. So having that ability is just actually pretty broken for this deck. Continuing the witches, you run 3 Witch of Grapes, Grappa. Same thing of Witch's Orange. When she's soul blasted, soul charge 2. Really good for cycling through the deck. And you just run for the same reason you run Orange. On to the grade 3s, the Salt card. The card that brings out all the anger. We have Wiseman. Effect, when he attacks, soul blast 3 cards, and he gains 4,000 power. That's the reason why he's a common, because back then he wasn't actually very useful. But now his effect is really good because when you soul blast and you soul blast the stand trigger, he stands back up. So it's just like he just sets up a volley of attacks every stride, and also sets up a 1-turn kill. Just in case we run into weird decks where they're going to rush me down or 7C's rush, blah, 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 I run 1 Minerva. Minerva's just I think it's just a fine tech card to get you through craziness that you might run into at locals or in a best of 1 format. People run crazy decks, so once in a blue moon, I have to pull out the Minerva because it's when it attacks you for 1 counterblast, soul blast 3 cards, and then discard 3 cards after she attacks, and she stands back up, gets 5,000 power. So pretty much when you use that, you can get 2 attacks in, 4 drive checks. Really good for countering some cheese. And then the last card, is Fenrir. Of course, you can have Fenrir in your Fenrir deck. And Fenrir's stride skill is when you stride, soul charge 3, and the next time you soul blast for 1 counter blast, take a card out of your deck. He's just good setup, and just overall does work. And not to mention, if some of your cards like Diamond Boy and Feather Boulder require Fenrir as the hard card, you can see why it's really necessary to have him, and why I'm really pumped to get a new Fenrir on the grade 3, or a new grade 3 Fenrir, especially that it's a rear guard card. That is the basics that's the basic deck profile. And you want me to go over some of the basic combos I do on first stride?
Sure. If you'd like to go over the combos, you can.
Sure. Okay, so we got let's get Fenrir out. Let's call out Tyr. We got these guys in the soul.
Okay.
And then Fetter. Sorry for the camera angle. It's not very strong, but let me pull it up. And then the only other card that matters for this combo, these. So the baseline idea that you'll be doing is you'll stride into Tyr every time. And then Tyr's effect is you soul blast 3 cards and you take and then he gets his effect, which is then the whole soul charging thing. So you call out you pull out one of him, you put all 2 other cards. For 1 counter blast, you call a Fetter. For another counter blast, you use his effect to gain 4,000 power. And now you check top card, top or bottom, and then use Revelation check top card, top or soul. And then you've set up the basics. Then you'll pretty much use all the Dime Boys in your soul to buff him up as much as you can.
Okay.
Theoretically, he should be you can probably get him to 31. I think that's a fine enough number. And then this is the big part of the thing. The big part of the combo is at the end of your main phase. That's when you put Fetter into your soul. So then you attack. If you have another rearguard, you attack with that first. So let's say I had Konata. You attack with Konata. She's probably right now probably 18,000. So you attack with her first. Then you attack with this. You hopefully just soul charge a bunch of cards, like so. Just because he can potentially put 9 in. Really good. If you pull a trigger, then you just stand up Konata and she'll attack again. And now this is the part. So Fetter will attack, and his effect states that you soul blast 3 cards. Perfect. You soul blast 3 cards, and then you can draw a card. So the 3 cards you'd soul blast would be another Boulder, one of the Witches, and the stand trigger. Because then the effects that are going to happen are you pull out a Fetter for free because of your starter. Then the stand trigger will allow you to stand him back up. You draw a card, and then also you soul charge 2 with the Witch that you pulled out. So now he's standing back up. You attack with him again for another 31, 36, depending if you pulled a trigger. And then you attack again with him with the other one that you just pulled out. And when you soul blast this time, you soul blast this, and then what's going to happen is he's going to stand back up. The powerful one stands back up because of the stand trigger. This goes back to the bottom of your deck, and you soul charge 4 more cards, and you draw another card, which gives you such strong hand advantage on top of just all this pressure you've just put onto your opponent first stride that you might have just put them in a situation where they either just died or they can't stride next turn. Because if I had soul charged 6 cards off of tier, and one of them, and then my last check was a crit, and this guy's attacking you for 36,000, like 4 times in a turn on your first stride.
Yeah.
It's really deadly. Like it's what I did to in a best of one format. I will just do this first stride on you every turn or every game I can, because it puts you down. And as I said, I should have drawn like an extra 3 cards. I should have a nice field that I'm happy with. If I have a Dreaming Dragon on the field, then I will reset the game for myself and draw a card. So that's the baseline of what I do and how I play the deck typically. I can loop you. I'd probably just suggest look up a video on how the loop works, because it takes a little while to explain.
I believe there's a video on Mason Clark's channel, Science of Vanguard, on how to do the loop. So
yeah, it's a fun deck to use, but like the looping part is just something that you want to probably just look up, because it'll take a while to explain, and I don't want to take all the cards to actually set up the loop itself.
Yeah, it's like
yeah, that would be a whole separate thing where I would have probably brought like spare cards and just set it up on the side.
Fair enough.
But
just hand over to it.
Yeah, just pretty much. It's the main thing that you probably don't see people talk about is the Fetter Boulder combo that I feel like should be more prevalent in Wiseman builds, but for some reason is cut for what's the name of that card? Lapwing.
Yeah, Lapwing, Flying Lapwing.
And because Lapwing is, first of all, it's GB restricted. It's an 8K.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have revelation like all these other strong ones have. The only exception to that rule is the Amber Clone, but the Amber Clone is still a 9K.
Yeah.
On top of everything else, and I'm thinking about switching out those two for 2 10Ks.
Okay.
And it'll just, I think that just overall help me shape out the deck. But that's like the basics, I think. But when the new Fenrir comes out, I can bump up Boulder to 4, because his only big drawback for me is that he does require Fenrir, and there are games where I kind of can't find Fenrir, and when that happens, I'd rather be able to have some cards that can get me through it.
Right.
So that's why I have the Amber Clone, because Amber Clone doesn't require Fenrir on the Vanguard circle.
Okay. Well, awesome. Like, it was very fun to see your deck and how you went through like the whole mentality of like actually not playing it like they played in Japan, but actually like you playing it your own way, kind of adding your own flair to how to play the deck, which is always important, I feel like, in this game, because people are always like, oh, there's not 2 different ways to play one same deck. Well, there's always different ways to play a deck.
Definitely.
And so I definitely think that, like, and it's another thing where with Adam, people are like, oh, grade 1 7 Cs is a no skill deck. Like, Wiseman and grade 1 7 Cs Rush still takes skill to play. It is a lot more thinking than you think.
The amount of versatility it can bring out is just, it's insane. Because like with the Fetter thing, if I feel like I need more soul charge, I can pull out the Amber Clone. If I want the draw power, if I feel like I can go into like multiple attacks, because I soul charge a bunch of that stand trigger, I'll go right into that Fetter Boulder or just a Wiseman itself and just start wreaking havoc on you. So it's but I usually use the Fetter Boulder just because it's extra card draw. Okay. You really can't go wrong with saying, hey, I'm going to get an extra 2 attacks in here, and I'm going to draw 2 cards. Right. You know what I mean? And the only problem is it's once per turn, but if it wasn't, that'd already be banned. That'd already be a banned card.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always no harm in advantage. But did you have any shoutouts that you wanted to give?
Let's see. Let's start with John Wheatley. He was the 3rd person who drove with us to New Jersey. He didn't get in, but he didn't get to day 2, but he played a really cool Harmony Prism deck.
Like hybrid. Right?
He's often. Yeah, I play a lot with him, and he's taught me so much of the game. Adam Weinstein, who's on here before, he won. Another one of the guys. I drive down to Connecticut, and I play with them a lot to learn the game. They got me into it. Someone who doesn't play anymore, his name is Josh Delafera. He taught me the game like 4 years ago, and I kind of put it away until about last fall. And then lastly, Derek, who runs another YouTube channel. It's ARGN. and I'm gonna hope to get a link of that into the description. He makes some really good content, and just overall is like a really cool guy and has a good mentality towards the game. Also,
Awesome. I'll be sure to put a link to the description down below, so
awesome.
check that out, guys. Did you have any more shoutouts that you want to give?
No, that's that and that the Pale Moon player I was talking about. I'm sorry I forgot your name, but if you're seeing this, please write a comment just so I can try and reconnect. Your deck was awesome, and just overall, it was he was such a nice guy about it.
Mm,
He took the loop well too. He wasn't salty about it. He was just a really
just
great
played
guy
the
to
game.
play. He just played the game and had such a great time doing it. And I talked with him after, hung out with him after. So if you see this, thank you for showing me one of the coolest decks of the day.
Yeah. Awesome, awesome. Well,
Yeah,
definitely I'll put a link to your shoutouts channel down
thank
below.
you.
But yeah, guys, that has been the interview between me and Mr. Sean here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends about it, share the video. Check out all the cool things we have going on in the description below. We have Cardfight Empire hoodies. I'm wearing one right now. I always point to the wrong side, but don't worry about that. But we have Cardfight Empire hoodies down below. We have the the Patreon page, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all those things. But yeah, that has been me and Sean, and we're signing out. Bye, guys.
Thank you for having me.